Okay.
Well, another thing is like while Richie and the goons are running away,
Yeah.
one of them, there's ADR where he says, he's going to cut him a new ass.
Like a new ass.
Usually it's cut him a new asshole. Like, how would you cut someone a whole new ass? Like, like why? How could they botch it so bad?
So here we go. Seagal starts telling this story about an old world guy that's sharpening blades. And as time went on, people started buying disposable knives and scissors. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm assuming he's talking about plasticware, but they don't make disposable fucking scissors.
What, you don't have a bunch of sets of disposable scissors?
I mean, you could argue that like any scissors or knives are disposable.
Yeah.
But they don't really make scissors that you use once and they're just like, next. Hello.
Go!
Jesus.
Off to a good start.
You scared the cough out of me. So this is the Buddy Shots podcast, and this is episode 71. And what is this, Matt?
Matt Week.
This is you week.
Out for justice.
So the phrases for this week, I looked up the taglines for these things, and for the saint,
Oh, nice.
we've got, when the saint plays with fire, other people get burned. Roger Moore is Simon Templar, a 20th century Robin Hood, alias the Saint. Then it's, when sinners strike, call on the saint. Suave, chivalrous, and utterly heroic. And then
None of those are great.
Yeah, out for justice, we've got pure adrenaline-pumping, jaw-dropping thrills. Steven Seagal is...
Out for justice.
We've got, he's a cop. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to take out the garbage. It's like, yeah, that one sucks.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's adrenaline pumping,
And then
but there's
this
some
one-
jaw dropping.
Yeah, this one, no sleep to Brooklyn. It's like, okay, just
Nice.
a line. And yeah, since it's June, happy Pride Month to all our buddies out there.
Mm.
Nice wishing of Wells. So, how you doing, man?
Good.
How did it feel to have the power again in your hands?
It's a powerful feeling.
I'm
Feels good.
starting to wonder if one man should have all that power.
I know.
What's going to our heads?
Might be too dangerous.
We got stuff. What do we have on our heads today?
Some pretty cool hats
Yeah.
in honor of Steven Seagal and Out for Justice. Was it a mistake? You be the judge.
Guess it depends on how much you spent on these. Matt was kind enough to get these. Berets. Oops. Spaghetti. Yeah. So do you have anything else to say? Do you want to go into
No,
your
I'm ready
news?
to get into it.
He's chomping at the bit to talk about this shit. So we've got near news. I'm gonna go ahead and just okay.
Good test.
Lots. I love the hats. That's what Mom said. So do you have some nerd news here?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, mine's a little bit weak. So
okay.
Or maybe I should go first. If you
How
got
about
some.
I'll do one and then you can do, and
All
then
right.
I'll follow up with some more so we can sandwich the sauce. So Jack Osborne is going on a new paranormal adventure at Discovery Plus alongside friend and actor Jason Mewes, actor from Jay and Silent
Who's
Bob,
Jack Osborne?
the son of Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I haven't heard about that guy in so long.
yeah, I think the last time that, I mean, he's done things here and there, but it's all like on, you know, hey, it's all paranormal crap. So it's like the last time I think that he was in the pop culture realm was when the Osbournes were a thing. But like, I guess in this new special, Jack Osborne is going to take Jason Mewes out into the woods and they're going to look for Bigfoot.
I'm in.
I was like,
Sounds great.
oh my God, dude. This is going to be ridiculous.
Sign me up.
But awesome.
Yeah, man. I love it.
Yeah. So what do you have to say?
Well, once again, I have more near news about the upcoming Monsters movie
Oh, nice. Okay.
because Rob Zombie confirmed that this movie will feature Zombo,
Zombo comp.
which is, I guess, a very memorable character from the Monsters, like a horror host
Okay.
kind of guy, but he's like actually has a pretty scary look to him.
Okay.
So
I
it'd be
saw
interesting to
that,
see
but
what-
I haven't seen as many episodes of the Monsters as you have because you're going through the whole series.
Yeah, I haven't got to that episode yet, but I looked at some images and I'm like, ooh.
But like I've never heard of him until they were like, he's coming back, and I was like, okay, well I guess he's like a true huge fan then if he's bring back this obscure character.
Yeah,
but
it really just made me want to plug my favorite website, zombo.com.
All things are possible.
Yeah, so everyone visit zombo.com, and the possibilities are endless.
You used to like
what you can do there.
This is kind of like a side thing with like buddy tales, but I remember one time you told me you've shown this website to like coworkers at various like jobs or internships, and like none of them ever get it. They're like, what is this shit? Kind of reminds me of back when they used to have the websites like Mr. T ate my balls and Godzilla ate my balls. It was like, it's just a funny thing. Before there
it's
were
like this, there's this new invention, the internet, and this is how you're harnessing its power.
Yeah, it's before like TikTok, way before Vine, way before, YNTV or whatever. You're the man now, dog. There was just random websites somebody would make like that, and it was like, what is this shit? I've got Amblin Partners are developing a remake of the classic 1990 horror film Arachnophobia, and they've hired Christopher Landon of Freaky, Happy Death Day 1 and 2 to write and direct the film.
Cool.
And I'm like, shit! I've never actually finished that film. When I was a kid, we rented it from Blockbuster, and I was like,
Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm assuming that they'll go with just all CGI spiders, and it won't be as effective as the original.
It depends.
It was all
like
real
the
spiders.
Harry Potter spiders were horrifying, but the ones in like Lord of the Rings weren't scary at all to me.
Yeah.
It really depends on what it is, I guess, but at the same time, I'm like, really? Damn it, they're remaking Arachnophobia? I'm sure we're going to have to watch it at some point, and I'm going to be like,
Have you ever seen Kingdom of the Spiders with William Shatner?
No, because that one I don't want to watch because they kill real spiders.
They do.
And as much as I like, I'm not like, I used to be like way more scared of spiders, but now I'm kind of like, if I see one, I kind of let it live and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like to me, that's like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Because they're like tarantulas, and
they're tarantulas, and they had so many of them, they would just cover the whole street. And there are scenes where people are driving over them and stuff. And
Jesus,
that's not what you want to see. But that's a crazy movie.
Yeah. But a follow-up to our last episode, check it out. Obi-Wan Kenobi actually broke Disney Plus streaming records as like the #1 highest fucking, whatever you want to call it, like premiere and stuff, which isn't shocking. So
cool.
See
Disney
our previous episode.
Wrong lessons.
There's way worse things that have been put out.
Very true.
And then my last one is, I didn't know this, but I guess they're making a live-action Twisted Metal series on Peacock, and Will Arnett has set the voice. Sweet Tooth.
My first instinct when I read that was like, this is stupid, but then I thought about it, and I was like, well, that's pretty much perfect casting.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anyone better after I thought about it. And
also, like, the people that, like, the series is being, like, written, or it's being developed by, like, Cobra Kai writer Michael Jonathan Smith. And they've done such a great job with that. It's just, to me, it's like Twisted Metal has been such a dead thing for so long that it's like
no one younger than us would even know what the
fuck that is. Yeah, because the last couple ones have been shit anyway. So it's like, maybe if they brought it back and it was actually like good, like when they did God of War, it's like maybe people would give a shit. But this is like.
But Twisted Metal's like at least 10 years older than even God of War.
That'd be like if they made like a Duke Nukem series now. Like we would be like, oh, this might be interesting or cool, but like everyone else would be like, who the fuck is Duke Nukem?
Yet another 90s property that's not Austin Powers that's getting a legacy sequel.
It's due treatment. Are you ready?
Outrageous.
This is Twisted. And it is metal. It's like, man. What was the last Twisted Metal game you played?
Probably the first one.
Really?
To be honest. That was never my franchise. I mean, I thought they were cool games, but I never got super into them. Probably the first one at your house back in the day.
Yeah. I played, like, the sequel, like, Twisted Metal 2, and I think at one point I played, like, Twisted Metal Black, and that was the one that used, like, I see a red door, and that was, like, their whole thing is, like, every time you beat the game, it would play that song. That was, like, their whole hook.
I was more of a Carmageddon fan, which was, like, a ripoff of...
Yeah, that one was, like, more of a PC deal. I think they came out on consoles, but they weren't as big.
They're pretty bad.
Didn't really know too much about it other than you just run over people. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of shocked with Sony, like them not bringing that property back, but they kind of do that with certain properties. Like they haven't done shit with Killzone or like a couple other like Siphon Filter. It's like, you know, they'll get their new property like The Last of Us and Uncharted, and that'll be like their big thing, and then they'll just like dump whatever else they have. So whatever. That's my Sony fuck you rant. Are you ready to move on to your first pick of this week?
Yeah.
Or do you have like a Buddy Tale recommendation?
I was right about one thing. This watch was weird.
I guess that means no then.
No, I don't.
I was like, no answer. No silence. So, this is a weird watch for a Matt week.
Weird watches.
Which week? Or was that when I was like, month week? And you were like, what? Fucked up. So, I guess before I get into like anything here about how, you know, any of the information about the show, how did you like hear about this?
Well, I'd heard about this forever ago, like reading about James Bond and stuff, and
because we're both like big Roger Moore
fans. Roger Moore is our favorite Bond. But like reading about it, I learned that Roger Moore was actually famous prior to Bond from the Saint series. Like he was well known, and I was
kind of like Pierce Brosnan for
Remington Steele.
Steel.
Which have you ever seen that?
No.
We should do a
that'll
weird
be
watch.
another weird watch, I'm sure.
I wasn't sure if you'd seen that. But I'd always heard about it and always wondered about it. And this Weird Watches was the perfect time to check it out. Had you heard of it before?
You know...
Oh, and also the 90s, the movie came out in the 90s with Val Kilmer as the Saint.
Oh, that's right. Was that the same premise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Which that movie's not very good.
They had like a... when I was looking into this, they had like a revival, kind of like they did with when they did like the new... what's it called? Like Get Smart.
Oh, really?
Like Andy Dick.
Was Roger Moore in it?
No. Well, he was in it. So they did like a new one, and he wasn't in it. But then they did one like right before he died. That was a revival. That's like I think just came out, and he plays like I don't know who he plays, but obviously he doesn't play the Saint. He, someone else plays that character, and he plays like kind of an informant maybe or something. But it's like literally right before he passed away, so he's like pretty old looking.
Okay,
but
that's cool.
I guess for people that don't know, The Saint is like a British mystery spy thriller television series that aired in the United Kingdom between 62 and 69, and it was based on the literary character Simon Templar, created by Leslie Charteris, I guess, Charteris, in the 1920s, which I had no clue about this character at all. So I guess there's a bunch of novels about it and television series. But Roger Moore played, Templar, and he helps people, and I don't know. Apparently there's more stuff about here. It says Chief Inspector Claud Eustace Teal is his nominal nemesis. So I guess he's kind of like...
His Moriarty?
Yeah, like, I guess he's kind of like, it's like Sherlock Holmes, where like Sherlock Holmes, like, his kind of like Inspector, whatever his face is, like, works with him, but like, he's kind of like, that's not on the up and up, maybe. I don't know. But he robs from the criminally rich and gives to the poor and deserving, while keeping a nice percentage for himself, even though that doesn't really happen in this first episode like, at all. But yeah, so...
It was cool that...
No, I was just going to say, early episodes included the gimmick of having Sir Roger Moore speak directly to the audience, and later this was replaced by narration.
Oh, I really like that.
Like the talking to the camera.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I was...
I actually wanted more of it.
Yeah, I've got fourth wall breaking in the first minute of the show, and that was like...
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot of when they used to be like, time out, like in Saved by the Bell. Which is goofy as that show was.
Or those instructional videos, it's like, what did he do wrong?
Yeah, and the guy's like, ah! About to be like fucking shot by an elephant. It's like, hey. But you know what I mean? Yeah, I liked it too. Like, anytime there's any sort of like character expression from the main character, and it's not just said to other characters. Like, I like internal monologues. I like that kind of stuff, because you get like what the character is thinking and stuff like that. I think a lot of shows probably don't do it because it takes more effort.
Yeah, and it can be done poorly, but
yeah,
when it's good, it's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree.
It was cool to see that there's a really nice quality version of this series on YouTube.
Yeah.
Posted by Shout Factory.
Yeah, I was shocked because they came out with the DVDs or whatever is of it, and like every commercial break like that was in the show originally, they would be like, buy it at Shout Factory, and I was like, I'm totally fine with this, the way they did this. Like, I wish that more companies would like do this, where like if they would come out with a release, they would put the first episode up and then they would like do like an advertisement in it, instead of like I gotta watch some stupid like random advertisement that doesn't have anything to do with this, like Tide, man, this is really the great shit for my clothes. Like, I don't give a frig, man. But at the beginning they had stock footage as the curtain went down. It was just like some random like audience like woo! And then like I was like, what does this have to do with the show? And then it's like, oh, he's in the intermission, like, after the play or during the play, and he's like talking, he's like, I don't know what your kind of favorite play is, action or adventure, or that kind of stuff. And then like the lady came over and she was like, what'd you think? And he's like, there's nothing else like it. And I was like, it was shit. And I was like, okay. But I put like a thing that's like, this is why Roger Moore is my favorite James Bond. He's like funny and he doesn't he can be both, which is good. He's not too serious.
Yep, I totally agree. So did you like the show overall, or what were your general thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it was kind of a weak first episode, personally, for me. Like, it felt more like Roger Moore was just there, but he wasn't really, like, the lead. Because it was more so, like...
There's a lot of...
a Columbo mystery, more so than, like, The Saint, which... I mean, this is the first episode. I think they were trying to find their footing. I like the idea of it. Maybe, like, season 2 would be better. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, when Roger Moore just first shows up, you're like, dude, this is why he's like a born movie star.
Yeah.
He's like the most watchable,
super
human.
Charismatic.
Yeah, super charismatic and hilarious and just really good.
Yeah.
The show was, Yeah. It was good enough to like make me want to maybe watch more episodes sometime in the future, which is cool for a 60-year-old show.
Yeah,
but I agree. Like, anytime Roger Moore was not on screen, I was like,
and it's not that like the actors were bad. It was just kind of like the problem is they showed you like, an awesome like plate of food, and then they like brought out like, pretzel sticks, and you were like, when are they gonna bring back the food? It was one of those deals where I think that if they had like started on, like if we had started on the second season or later, depending on, I mean, apparently there was something that people liked enough about this for this to run from 62 to 69, so it was popular. So that must mean at some point, I think like maybe later episodes were better for it, because if not, they would have just been like, cut this shit. Because Roger Moore, like you said, I mean, like when he's on screen, it's like, it's fucking awesome.
So the premise of this episode was basically it's about a man who's like a reverse Black Widow, basically, where he has a string of marrying a woman and then they mysteriously die and he inherits their fortune.
Right.
So Roger Moore finds out about it and gets involved. And at some point in this episode, I'm like, dude, mind your own business. Like, why are you getting involved in it? Like,
yeah, the weird thing is they never really like explain why the hell he's involved,
because he's just a saint.
But like,
it is weird,
the other lady is involved because she's investigating for like insurance purposes, and they're tracking him down because they're like, okay, well, this guy has gotten a bunch of insurance payouts, and this is kind of weird. And I think what set all this off was there was this accident where he like drops this planter on her head, and I think that set off red flags. Like, okay, this is another accident that could have killed one of his wives.
And I'm like, dude, how'd she even survive that? I was like, when that happened, I was like, R.I.P.
The way they played it was not that she was gonna live, because it was like, dude drops a planter on his wife.
I think probably weighed like 100 pounds.
Yeah, and it seems like she's dead. But in the next scene, it's like, oh, it's just you're just gonna have to spend a little bit of time in bed. I was like, huh? What'd you think about the beginning of this show with the Saint, where it was just like Halo goes over the head or whatever? The Saint.
That was like, kind of silly.
I
liked it.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like still in the era of like there really weren't like intro themes. Like there kind of was, but it was more so like, okay, the Saint. Okay, start the show. The episode is titled "The Talented Husband." He was talented. Yeah. This was like back in the day when they couldn't show one bed. Like a couple gets married, like, you know, sleeps in the same room but doesn't sleep in the same bed. Bullshit. Like, okay, dude, come on. It's so weird that what stuff like, you know, was like not cool back in the day.
Crazy to think about.
6 minutes in, still waiting for Roger Moore to show back up.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Domestic help is non-existent. At this point, I'm actually having a having a contest to see when Roger Moore shows.
I'm having a congrats.
I'm having a congrats to see when Roger's going to show up again. And then the next second, oh shit, he's here. So his car, he's driving a Volvo P1800. When filming for the popular 1960s ITV television series The Saint, in 1961, the program's lead character, Simon Templar, played by Roger Moore, was due to drive the then new car of the moment, a Jaguar E-Type. And I guess that's kind of what... Yeah. His car was legit. I mean, it was cool. It was just kind of like legit. You saw him driving it like one time, and then it was like there was a lot of like, this isn't really about Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Character in this first episode, which is weird. This line I didn't understand. Maybe you can clear this up for me. He goes to the bar and he says, "I'm looking for a woman, 38, 24, 36." And the bartender goes, "Oh my God, that's awesome." And he says, "That's only her head." What? I didn't get that.
I just think it's like a bad joke that it's like one of those dad jokes that makes.
But
no
it's
sense.
like, that would be like if you were like,
if your head was like an hourglass shape.
Yeah, you'd be like a MODOK or something. You'd be like a fucking. You'd be all head and like tiny arms. And,
yeah, that was.
At first I was like, did I listen to that right? And I rewound it, and then I was like, interesting.
Like, that's only her head. Imagine how deformed her body must be.
He's like, bellissimo. So what's with the, do you know, I know you partake in spirits before, and I don't mean ghosts. What's a custom built Manhattan? Do you know?
I don't know what custom built means.
Yeah, because he's like, I'll take a custom built Manhattan, and then he's like, I'll have another one, and he calls this guy Mario. So,
maybe it's I don't know, homemade. I don't know what
I would assume so. It's funny because
I mean, they're all homemade, like
right.
It's not like a product that comes off the shelf.
Like,
I don't know.
And then the lady shows up and she's like, bring those to my house. And I was like, so they're at a bar now, and he's gonna literally just bring those to your house now? Like,
it was a swinging 60s, baby. Yeah.
He's like, drives 2 hours. Here's your fucking things. Hopefully no one's ransacking my bar. Husband killed previous wives. So I'm thinking this Jafferty kind of looks like someone in a costume, like Mrs. Doubtfire, and then literally the next second, okay, it's literally the husband. You boys dressed up as a woman, slipped into your own house, cooked her a stew, poisoned her, put your clothes back on as a woman, disguised and left. That's a perfect crime. Long payoff. This is another thing when I knew, I was like, okay, this is kind of like a scene of convenience. He like leaves the evidence in the trash face up, the Rodine. And I'm like, why? Why didn't you just take that
perfectly like framed, like placed in the middle,
so that Roger Moore would find it?
Yeah,
someone else would find it. Trying to talk to the doctor, and he's like blowing it off. The doctor hated this guy because he was like pissed because he was like, "Oh, you're leaving your wife at home? Like, you know, you're a real piece of shit." Dude, when they're in the car and like the doctor's driving like the husband home, it literally is like they're like right next to each other, and I think it's either like the guy's behind him or like they're just sitting close together. But it's like literally, it's like they're. I mean, we'd have to almost
cars were smaller back
kissing. I was like, okay, this is a weird frame up. So there's a part where when he confronts him at the end, and he's like, he's like confronting him with the evidence, and he scares the shit out of me because he comes out of nowhere, and then he has like the can of Rodine, and he's like, "This!" and he's like holding it, looking straight at the camera, and I'm like, "Is this a fucking advertisement?" Roger Moore is like, he's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "This," and I'm like, "Huh?"
Get me some of that Rodine. Delicious.
And then at the end, he roughs him up and gets a confession, which some lady writes it down on a piece of paper, but like that wouldn't mean shit because they like beat the fuck out of him to obtain it, and neither one of them are like police. So what the fuck? They could be witnesses, but like even that's like, you know, they both broke into his house, and they also coerced him through physical fucking violence to like
he committed assault.
Right, to make him talk, which police aren't supposed to do. So it's like
he's a saint. He's allowed.
That's
saints are higher than police.
Oh, what's that called though? That's like
coercion.
Yeah, coercion. Mm-hmm. When you like, that's why they tape all interviews, because that kind of shit. I mean, it still happens, but it used to happen a lot more when there weren't cameras there. They would just beat the shit out of some dude, and then he would confess because he didn't want to get his ass beat.
Wonder if the saint does that in every episode.
The last episode, he's just getting the electric chair. He's like, "I loved Madge, but then he tried to kill her anyway." I'm like, what?
Kill her anyway.
Makes sense. "Oh, Simon, why didn't you let me die? Because I love my husband so much. Kill me!" And that's the end. So
great job.
This lady was so in love with him that she decided to, like, you know, be like, fuck it. Yeah, I think it's kind of a shame the way it starts out, but like I said, obviously it's a good enough show to keep going for so long. But I guess
just my love of Roger Moore like makes me want to watch more. That's pretty much.
Maybe skip this first episode.
Much more. Roger Moore.
Yeah, skip this first episode if you're gonna watch this. Maybe look in to see if you're gonna watch this.
I bet if you watch it a few seasons in, you're like rocking and rolling.
Yeah, this first episode was like not ready for prime time. But
I was right about one thing. The watch was weird.
Speaking of prime time, are you ready to go on to the main event?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this is the feature presentation. How did you hear about this film? For Justice.
So I've always been a Seagal fan, going back to the 90s. So I've seen all of his early run of movies from like late 80s to mid to late 90s, which are all good, and then before they became terrible.
Before they came terrible. They were like, oh. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been a fan of this movie for a long time, and I know like we watched The Under Sieges back in the day. But I
think for most people, that's the only things they've ever watched of Steven Seagal.
Yeah, those were his biggest hits.
Yeah, that's literally... he's always been like an action star that was like, he was popular, but he was like, you know, there's like Stallone, there's Arnold, and then, you know, there's John Claude Van Damme and like Chuck Norris, but like Seagal was like way down here. He did like Under Siege, and I think most people only know him for that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to do a Seagal movie, mm-hmm. and this was my personal favorite of his that aren't Under Siege, one or two. So I thought you didn't want to do one of his new ones where it's like a Russian shill Chinese propaganda,
and just get it out of the way. Like, I'm a huge fan of Seagal's movies. Mm-hmm. Like, there's stories that maybe he may not be a very cool dude in real life. Mm-hmm. I'm not really going to get into that, just because I don't want to let that ruin my enjoyment of his movies from the 90s. Mm-hmm. So
there you have it.
Yeah. That's my take.
Yeah, I didn't really go into this expecting much. But it didn't really have anything to do with, I mean, I guess I'd say it doesn't have anything to do with that, but I mean, everybody has predisposition to, like, you know, a person here or there. But yeah, Steven Seagal definitely was in this film.
The end.
We'll get into more about this, I guess. I mean, I did enjoy watching it.
Good.
So that's I think that's the best you can hope for, at least for me, with most action films. It was interesting, and it was funny when it didn't mean to be, which was
a lot of times unintentionally.
Yeah, which is almost always the best kind of humor. But like you said, in the 90s, like this came out in 91, and this was actually directed by John Flynn and was produced by and starring Steven Seagal. So that just means he gave a fuck ton of money to make this film.
Yeah, and he had some creative control too, which we
shocking.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, that's the thing is like if an actor is big enough, like Arnold or like Seagal or like Stallone, even if they're not listed as a producer, they have creative control because it's like, you know, who are we kidding here? When this movie is literally about one person, like, they're the star.
And also, people forget, like, we live in a world where when this movie came out, it was number 1 at the box office. Like, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous. But in this film, he plays Gino, a veteran police detective who sets out to avenge his partner Bobby's murder by killing Richie, the trigger-happy, drug-addicted, mafioso, culprit. I loaded this up, and the thing that made me laugh first when I looked over there is on IMDb. I forget what it said as far as the rating, but on Rotten Tomatoes it was like 23%, and I was like, Jesus. But like I watched it and I was like, this really doesn't deserve that low of a rating, personally, I don't think.
No, I mean, I'm not going to make a case that this is like a great movie or Citizen Kane. Like, it's a trashy action movie.
Right.
But
I wouldn't give it 23% out of 100. I would give it higher than that.
No, it's highly
But
entertaining.
it was funny. It was funny to watch. Like, I wouldn't be like, you know, I wouldn't say, oh, you gotta like, you know, before you watch fucking like Citizen Kane, you gotta watch this film.
For justice.
But I mean, if you're looking to just be like entertained, if you're having a party, you should definitely watch this film.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of movies I love. So
it's hilarious. So at the beginning of the film, we've got this quote, which it's always great when a fucking film has a quote at the beginning. It says,
so pretentious.
Which makes no sense. I don't really remember. I'll read through this and then we'll try to go over it together, whether or not this had any correlation on the movie or not. While to the stranger's eye, one street was no different from another. We all knew where our neighborhood somehow ended. Beyond that, a person was a stranger. Arthur Miller, playwright, raised in Brooklyn. I feel like the whole thing about, like, you know, obviously, like, this film at its core is about, like, a community coming together to stop, unsuccessfully for the most part, a psycho, regardless of, you know, like, the mob guys and the police all, like, kind of work together. They have different ends they want to get to.
Yeah.
Like, the police want to arrest him, the mob wants to get him so they can deal out mob justice to one of their own. And Steven Seagal, the cop, essentially, I mean, this is a 90s, 80s film where, like, under normal circumstances, he would be fucking in hell for what he does.
He takes the law into his own hands and commits murder.
But the police don't give a shit in these films, which is fine. It's whatever. But, like, on his thing, he's taking divine justice. He's taking justice, revenge for his, like, friend's murder.
Yep.
So we've got the the trifecta of, and it's very weird because that's not something you see very often, where the villain is already being hunted by multiple people.
That's one thing I love about this movie is, like, the villain's so good that both the cops and the mob hate him. He's totally rogue, like, against everyone. Like, he's gone totally off the rails.
I was a little bit, honestly, I'm, like, let down by, like, the villain, because you, like, pumped him up a little bit, and I thought he was kind of, like, okay. I thought
within the first, like, 5 minutes of the movie, he's killed, like, he kills Seagal's partner, and then he kills, like,
a random lady.
He pulls a woman out of her car and blows her head off, and then he starts smoking crack.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is amazing.
He does nothing else for the rest of the film, essentially.
Except run away.
Yeah, which is kind of disappointing.
I just think, so William Forsythe plays Richie.
Yeah, and he's a bad guy.
He's just such a scumbag, and, like, he's, like, in this movie, he's really heavy and out of shape, and, like, he's just, like, at the end of his rope. And at the end of the movie, like, he knows that
Right.
Steven Seagal is going to murder him, and he doesn't care. He's like
the poor man's Joker in this film, in my opinion. Like, I liked it at the beginning, but then it kind of didn't really pay off.
Yeah, there's a few other touches we can talk about,
Yeah.
but apparently this movie is very popular amongst people who are from Brooklyn. Like, they see it as a badge of honor because it's all like about Brooklyn.
It's all about killing people without any
streets.
justice.
But that made me think, like,
Yeah.
when we went to New York City, we spent most of the time in Brooklyn. So, like, do you remember all these locations from when we were
Oh,
there?
yeah.
Did you see a bunch of cops, like, killing people?
Yeah, I was looking everywhere. There were fucking guys in long waistcoats smoking crack and trying to fucking evade Steven Seagal.
You're like, I saw a bunch of Richies.
Yeah. It's a very weird thing to be prideful of, because Steven Seagal is very putting on a fake accent in this.
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
I've got quite a few notes about that accent.
He's going for it.
Yeah, and like failing miserably. It's like it's funny too because it's one of the like the best accents are the ones that come and go too, where like the person isn't. It's not like Johnny Depp with Jack Sparrow where he does it throughout the whole film. It's not like Andrew Lincoln where he plays Rick on Walking Dead and he's English and it's like he's doing it through the whole thing. And it does. Yeah, it's like it's always on. It's it's one minute he's Steven Seagal and the next minute he's going into like Paisano mode over here. Like it's
hilarious.
I don't really know what to say other than
I respect the fact that he's going for it big time, but like it's laughably.
It's not even
failing.
Yeah, it's. The only respect I'd have to give him for is just that he did an accent, like because it's one of those things where I mean I guess if you're the director you're not going to tell Steven Seagal to fuck off with that, but
yeah.
I feel like if they were going for like an actually good movie, they would have done that. But like since this is so cheesy, it's okay. I guess we should talk about the very beginning of this film where I literally sent you a clip where like Steven Seagal put a guy's head through a car window of Pimp and he put his entire body through the windshield, and both times they used his stock yell for the guy.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, this movie might actually be good.
You're like, uh-oh.
That's when I was like, this actually might be entertaining because like to me when I watch action films, it's like I have to have something. Either it has to be a good story, which is it's usually not the case, or like it's nonstop action, which sadly sometimes doesn't happen either, or it's just so bad it's funny. Like if it's like The Room or something where it's like one of my favorite things to do is pick out random funny things that I see and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
There's a lot of those in this movie.
Which is kind of why I had like a fun time watching it.
The plot is like the thinnest plot ever. Like
there really
his
isn't
partner
one.
Gets killed and he looks for the guy who did it.
Yeah, there really mainly
it's repeat.
Yeah, and it's like I don't even know at the end of the day if obviously like the Richie guy is like his motivation is just to like smoke, have sex with people, and like I guess he was. It's like one of those things where like they find out that like he killed this lady he was having sex with that was like cheating on him or something. But like he's so crazy, he could have just done it to do it anyway to kill her. It's like I don't really think that's what set him off. Like they never really say he was abused. Like his parents are like the nicest people, so it wasn't like that. It was just like, let's just make a movie about how one guy has no real character. He just becomes like the Joker and goes insane and starts killing people.
Yeah.
And smoking crack. And like, even his own dudes are like questioning him and stuff. And it's like, okay. And then Steven Seagal has a reason to exist in this film because he's the guy that's out for justice. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, that's the weakest part of this movie where like they're trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
It's like, who cares about this mystery? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's like, especially when you don't set up like a character like Richie to actually have any sort of like backstory, then that's fine unless you do like multiple things of trying to find out why he did it. Then it's like, okay, well now you're going down a road that you can never deliver on. so there's no reason for this.
Yeah.
You know, they should have never had any of that shit in it, and I completely agree. It's like, either have it be like something went wrong and like his wife, like he finds out his wife cheated on him, or his wife died and he finds out that like the person that did it was like, you know, a cop and it was Bobby or something on accident, like you know, like in a shootout kind of thing with other mob people. And so he just goes nuts and he kind of breaks down. That's just an example, obviously, but like, or just say this guy, you know, is just doing this because he's doing it. You know? Steven Seagal, you know,
he's a cracked out maniac.
They tried to. It's funny because certain times you could tell when they try to bring it down and be like, "Here's when we're gonna make Steven Seagal go for the Oscar," and it's like, fuck off. Like he was like, you know, I want to really know why this is happening, and you know, I don't think you heard me the first time. Where's Richie and all this shit? And
At one point, he even speaks in Italian, and he's like pushing the Italian accent super hard. And I'm like,
it's like I appreciate the subtitles, but you know, it's like he's saying that, and the other actors are like, like what?
Well, believe it or not, this movie was originally way longer, and
really?
Seagal cut a bunch of scenes out, and also that's why there's 2 like long montages in this movie. Like basically they cut out a bunch of crap and edited it into montages, which like that's a smart move because this movie's 90 minutes long and it should not be any longer than that. So
I wonder what was cut out, because they're
probably more like about the mystery of what, you know,
because they had multiple scenes of him talking to Richie's parents, and I was like, if they cut shit out, well, what the fuck?
It makes you think. It makes you wonder.
So Steven Seagal walks into the room and he looks like he's like in a ninja outfit, and he like calls his son Champini. Like,
how you doing, Champini?
What was that about?
Good.
Is it a ninja outfit or is it like a sleeveless? He's just wearing a vest and
no
shirt.
because he had like fucking pants on too that were like the same color. It was like, what is this shit? And then you like, it's like he kind of pairs what he thinks is cool. So he's got like the fucking beret on at one point, even though he's a police officer. He's never in uniform. He's just like, hey, I'm Steven Seagal. I'm a detective. I'm assuming he's a detective. Because, I mean, why wouldn't you be a detective if you're in a police thing and you're a badass? So he's like, you know, in like the commissioner guy, the dude that's been in like, what's his name? Jerry
Orbach?
Yeah, he's been in like so many, like as police guys. I think he was in CSI or something like that.
Yeah, he's been in tons of stuff. Yeah.
But like, he's his boss, but it's more like, he's like Commissioner Gordon and Batman,
right.
Are like best pals. It's like, okay,
well, but also Steven Seagal is just going to do whatever the hell he
right?
wants. And like,
yeah, and like the guy's like, you're fine. It's like,
so that's the thing about Seagal that I love and like separates him from other action stars is like all of his movies are just excuses for him to be the coolest dude imaginable. Well, coolest in quotes.
Yeah, in his eyes,
and like he will never come off bad or like be vulnerable or.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that is one thing that, like, I was always kind of blown away about with Steven Seagal is, like, regardless, you know, if he's, you know, shitty movies or not, or good, it's like, when I saw Under Siege, and it's like, what the fuck? I've never seen, like, a movie where, like, a character just never takes a punch or never loses. It's like...
No one lays a finger on him.
Yeah.
He has the easiest time dispatching all of his villains.
He just beats the shit out of everybody, and there's no tension in the film. It's like... Damn, dude, this guy is just like...
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's definitely something that sets him apart. So it's like one of those things where it's like... I feel like if it was done more, like if other people did it, I would be like, this sucks. But I think since Steven Seagal does it, it's like he can get away with it because everybody knows it's bullshit. But it's his thing that sets him apart because everybody has their own thing. Like... You know, Jackie Chan is known for doing all these, like, ridiculous stunts himself and, like, breaking his own bones and stuff. Like, in, you know, Arnold and, you know, like, what's his face? Sylvester Stallone are known for, they were kind of, like, the big dudes, like, you know, doing all these films and stuff. And then, like, you've got Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he was another person that was, like, a true martial artist. Kind of like Chuck Norris and, you know, and stuff like that. So it's like everybody has their own thing. It's just kind of like Steven Seagal's was, I'm not going to have any... He's not going to have a second act in his film. It's just going to be the first act, the whole film, where he just...
Or an arc. There's no arc.
Yeah, there's no arc for his character. everything
he's
else
the coolest
changes,
dude ever from start to finish.
Yeah, everything changes around him.
Yeah.
Which
but
is
also,
definitely like his thing.
Yeah, the other thing that I always liked about him, which is not good, but like he is a martial artist.
He's a murderer, IRL. I'm like,
but he goes way harder on the stuntmen than any other.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And a lot of times you can tell like he's probably really hurting these dudes, and like he doesn't care, like he doesn't pull punches.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
I've heard some horrible shit about him, with that aspect anyway. Like everybody hates him that's a stuntman because like. Most people like will pull punches and stuff like that, and if they hit somebody, they're like, "Oh shit, sorry." And he's famously known for like breaking Sean Connery's like arm or nose or something when they were like,
really?
They were on a set. I guess Sean Connery was training. Like they were gonna do. I forget what film it was. We'll have to look this up, or like I'll look it up and maybe put it in the thing here. But like Sean Connery was on like a talk show, and he was like, "Yeah, Steven Seagal was like." Supposed to be training me if I maybe did some like stuff in this film, and I guess like he's like Sean Connery I'm sure was being way nicer about it, but he was like I got too cocky and he fucked me up, and I was like, dude, if he's training you, he shouldn't fuck you up. Like you're an actor, like what the fuck is he doing? So I guess he like broke one of his fucking like he fucked him up, and I was like, Jesus,
that's crazy.
But like you said, yeah, he didn't pull punches.
Well, I've got a lot more to come on that when we get to trivia.
So Richie, we talked about that. Richie walks. This is like straight up road rage. Like this is like this would probably happen today because there's so many crazy people out there. But he just walks up to this lady and she's like, "Move your car." And he's like, "I've had enough of this shit." And he just pulls her. It's like, boom. And
even his henchmen are like, "No, no, no, no."
Yeah. They're like, "No, no, 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 no."
But he did it anyway.
I do have a note here that says, "I don't want to be an asshole, but Steven Seagal's acting in this is fucking horrible." What the hell? He's wearing a ninja costume and a beret. Like he's a cop, right? Why is he wearing this shit? He's also doing this weird wise guy New York accent.
Yep.
There's this... So, I don't know if this was the film, but there's also a thing going around from, like, former mob guys saying that, like, Steven Seagal actually had ties to the mob, and that's why a lot of these films were financed and stuff, because they were making a profit off of these films. And this might be one of the films that actual mobsters were in, because one of the mob guys makes fun of Steven Seagal, and he doesn't.
What are you doing here, asshole?
And
really?
yeah, and there's certain people in this that like he doesn't touch. So like one of the mob guys makes fun of Steven Seagal and says, "I see you still comb your hair like a girl." It's like he just takes it and like a girl. And I'm kind of like, is that, you know what I mean? That seemed a little too real. So then we've got a kill them all, let God sort them out bumper sticker and some weird ADR from Steven Seagal. Must be a tough guy or something.
The ADR in this movie, like,
he must be a
is
tough
crazy.
guy.
Yeah, I've got quite a
so
few
much,
yeah,
and it's like so jarring. And a lot of times they just like insert this, like put in as much ADR as you possibly can, even when it's overlapping with each other. It's like,
yeah. Well, it's like they went off the philosophy of like whenever someone isn't facing the camera, it's time to add more dialogue. So somebody throws a bag out the window with a baby dog in it, or I guess
AKA
a
puppy.
puppy. Yeah, baby dog.
It's a baby dog.
He's like, please God, let me run into this guy someday. Totally monotone. What a delivery.
And you know, he'll never see him again.
Yeah.
Or will he?
And they cut over the dog that he rescued, and it's like a completely different looking dog.
It's just one more excuse to have Steven Seagal be the best.
Yeah, be the best guy.
Best around.
He's also like, I think I have a note on here too about he's a fucking like expert in something, and I was like, fuck off.
I also like whenever he has the dog, like it's never on a leash. He's just carrying it like a baby.
Yeah. What about the baby dog?
Baby dog.
This dog like disappears and reappears in this film. Yeah. Like it's like
whenever it serves.
It's a dog of convenience.
Right.
Like you're led to believe this dog's been in the car the whole time, but there are moments when he's not in the car for like hours, and the windows are down. It's like, dude, this dog would have jumped the fuck out. Like, or he's like flopping all over the place in his car, and it's like, dude, that dog would have been like scrambled eggs. So he drives up, and this prostitute asks Steven Seagal, "Wanna fuck?" And I don't think I've ever seen him like laugh this hard, and I almost think that was like a real reaction.
I love that.
Because he was like cracking the hell up.
You don't see that too often in movies, like a person or characters just laughing. Well, even if it was, it's very effective.
It's very jarring though, because the rest of this film he can't act worth shit, so it makes me think that like this was completely like real, which is cool. But then the rest of the film he's like, Bobby died. Like he found out like his best friend died and he has no emotions. But I like that. I do agree. I like the way he reacts, because he drives up to these people. You're here with it. You know
hear what she said?
And then like he starts laughing more, and I'm like, see, to me, if he was more like if he was able to make fun of himself more and he would laugh more, I would probably actually like Steven Seagal more. Yeah. But he takes himself way too fucking seriously. Pretty legit car chase, even though I'm pretty sure the dog would have been brown bread because he was bopping all over the place. Because like Steven Seagal when he's driving is like,
it's like a crazy taxi.
Ace Ventura 2 style.
Yeah. So I'll go into the trivia here. Speaking of the dog, so IMDb trivia.
He's the dog.
Take it with a grain of salt because it's almost all BS. But
like Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal offered producers $1 million to take the dog home. But he was turned down over concern for the dog's safety.
Like, wait, what? So, like, he wanted to pay them to take the dog?
Yeah, he loved the dog and wanted to...
Oh, he wanted to take the dog. I thought you meant, like, he was going to pay the producer, like, the people, like, the director to take the dog. Like, here's $1 million. Take this dog. Like, what?
Yeah. And then going back to his accent, here's another piece of trivia. According to William Forsythe, Steven Seagal told him, "You really need to work on your Brooklyn accent." Forsythe, a Brooklyn native, replied, "Trust me, you do."
I'm assuming
I hope that's true.
There was no love lost between them?
No. We'll get into more. There's much more to come.
More trivia to come. So we got a fight scene in a butcher shop.
Dude, okay. This may be my favorite Seagal scene of all time.
Yeah.
Because, well, first of all, so he's chasing Richie and his goons, right? And they lose him.
Yeah.
But then they're like, "This isn't over yet. Let's get him some cold cuts." And I'm like, why?
Yeah, they're like, hang him up on the fucking hooks.
They run into the deli. Yeah. But my favorite part is Richie's like, "You guys deal with him." Yeah. And then him and a bunch of other goons run away, like giggling, and they're giggling. Did you notice that? They're like, hee hee.
It's essentially like he's like the Joker, and he's setting up like a fucking stopgap for Batman. So he can fucking leg it out the back. Yeah. And if these guys take care of him, fine, but he doesn't expect them to. It's like...
Yeah.
And he's like, hang him on the fucking hooks! And I'm like, okay. And, like, that's not happening. And, like, when they come in, he, like, asks for the ammunition. Because they had ammo behind the counter, I guess. Because the guy, I guess that was a mob-protected place or whatever. A mob-run store. And this fight is, like... ridiculous. He makes a guy somehow chop his own leg with the knife the guy was holding. He was like swinging towards Seagal, and Seagal like moves and he continues and cuts his own leg, and I'm like, what? The guy couldn't stop in time. He was like, ah, and he's like, my leg, and I'm like, okay. There's so much ADR in this.
So much great ADR, and he like pins the guy's hand to a wall with a knife, and the guy's like cartoonishly screaming. Yeah. He's like, ooh, ooh.
There's a lot of that, especially during the last fight scene, which is like so ridiculous.
But I love the way he just lays waste to these dudes. Yeah, like they have no chance.
And then like the last guy points a gun at him, and he like just tells him to fuck off with that or something, and he's just like, you should be nicer or something. What did he say? He's like, you gotta be, nice or something. And I was like, okay.
Well, another thing is like while Richie and the goons are running away, one of them, there's ADR where he says he's gonna cut him a new ass. I was like, usually it's cut him a new asshole. Like, how would you cut someone a whole new ass? Like, why? How could they botch it so bad?
The ADR is so... It's the only thing that, honestly, in my opinion, like, makes this super fun to watch. Like, I don't know. The action's pretty legit in this.
One other thing I love about Richie is through the whole movie, he's just, like, brandishing guns around, like, in public. It's, like, just another cool aspect. Like, he doesn't care at all about anything.
You got any puppy dog food? Is it from Jersey? I don't want to feed him radioactive stuff. I'm like, okay.
That was another line that like felt like an ad lib.
Some random Jersey hate here from the Brooklynites. So Steven Seagal goes to visit Richie's parents, which is weird because you usually don't see like sort of sympathy for the bad guy as far as extended family goes.
Yeah. Did you notice who his dad was?
I didn't really recognize him, but I'm sure
he's Uncle Junior from The Sopranos.
I haven't watched enough of that to know who it is.
He's Tony's uncle, like he's the old man who has the big glasses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was cool to see him pop up.
If you've ever heard of The Sopranos, check it out. It's a small bit role.
Dominic Chines.
We got one dude in the posse wearing parachute pants. When talking about his brother, well, he's not here because he's a chicken shit pussy asshole. I went, okay, Steven Seagal.
Inserting the most profanity possible.
Seagal bouncing a billiard ball on the ground. Anybody know why Richie did Bobby random ADR? Fuck off! There's a bunch of that in this bar where dudes are just like heckling him.
But this is...
Get the fuck out of here.
Another classic Seagal scene where he just gets to walk into a bar and be the coolest dude and then annihilate everyone.
All these mob guys.
It was weird stuff because he starts like messing with the bar.
Yeah.
And he's like throwing beer glasses on the ground. He's like, "What's this? What's this?"
Yeah,
and I'm like,
"Is this hot dog yours?"
It's a glass of beer, like the most common thing you would ever see at a bar. Like,
it's like also like this is a
whose
cop.
hot dog is this? Yours?
This is a cop fucking up like an establishment for no reason. Like this guy should be arrested. We've got horrible ADR gunshot shot to start off with the fucking fight. Essentially, he's like, boom, boom. So, yeah. Then Steven rolls a cue ball into like a napkin or a sock and starts whacking people in the head.
Which that would be instant death.
Yeah.
If you did that in real life, like those
he
dudes
starts
are dead.
Fighting with pull cues and like punches a guy in the nuts. There's all kinds of random shit that happens here.
You mean
like,
Sticks? They're like, "Hey, Sticks, get him!"
Oh yeah.
Apparently, that guy is like the world champion stick fighter.
Yeah, like Kali Sticks or whatever.
Yeah, and of course, Seagal just annihilates.
Well, like I looked into this. I mean, I didn't look into.
I thought that was cool though.
Like,
the stick fight.
I wasn't shocked that he brought him in just to fucking job him out. But he like hits one dude twice. Like he hits this one dude that has tattoos on his arms with fucking the sock with the fucking cue ball in it, and he's like. He gets back up and he's like, "You knocked out my teeth." And I was like, and he's like, "Well, fuck you." And he hits him again. And I'm like, Jesus. Like, cool. Time to kill people. But a dude jumps up on the pool table and he just fucking knocks him right in the balls. And the guy's like, "Oh." But yeah, the college sticks, or the college sticks. The sticks fight was interesting, and then it kind of became like a slap fest, and I was like, okay, this is kind of shit.
But that dude, Sticks, was played by veteran martial artist Dan Inosanto, who was one of Bruce Lee's best friends.
Of course, I saw that, and I was like, I know why he brought him in, just so he could shit on Bruce Lee by proxy. Fucking asshole.
But also, Steven Seagal said in an interview that scene was his favorite of his career.
Was to beat the fuck out of this guy that we knew.
Well, the bar scene in general. Lee. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell your brother. I'm gonna cut his head off and piss down his throat. I'm like, okay, Duke Nukem.
You tell your brother I'm gonna cut off his head.
So we got a montage of people looking for Richie to Shake the Firm.
Shake the Firm.
Written and produced by Robert Jason and David Michael Frank. Performed by Cool JT.
To me, it sounded like something that should have been on the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I looked this up and I was like, I've never heard of this Cool JT, and there's a bunch of songs that were on here like that I was like, okay, this is somebody's alias, like Spunkadelic,
right,
and stuff.
I think this came out the same year, right, as Turtles, 91.
Yeah, it actually had some kind of like sound stuff that sounded kind of the same, so I was like, I put a song that's too hip to be in this film. He's killing people like it was free. I'm like,
he's killing people like it
what?
was free.
It doesn't cost anything to kill someone. What the fuck are you talking about? He's out there killing people like it's free. Steven Seagal doing his wise guy accent again, laying it on thick. More ADR. How you doing, Patty? I can still get it wet. I'm like, okay.
Patty, played by Gina Gershon.
Mm-hmm. one guy bouncer just doing his job, and Steven Seagal pushes him backwards over a railing, and he goes tumbling down the stairs, which he doesn't die, but he could have like broken his fucking neck.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay. He's like, I told you to get the fuck out of my way. And I'm like, Jesus, dude, this guy's like in his right to fucking escort you out. He's a fucking bouncer.
Yeah, dude. It's his job.
So most of the laughs that I got in this film were not supposed to be intentional, I don't think. But one line stuck with me is when he locks up Richie's sister and says, do you see her on the streets, like to his coworker cop? And he says, many times, you know, how much was she? And he's like, 10, you know, he said, $10. And she's like, bullshit. And he's like, you know, I'm disappointed. I thought you could at least get 15. I was like, okay, that was kind of funny, and it was meant to be funny. Like, Seagal has one intentionally delivered joke in this film that was actually funny. Everything else was like, Richie kills his wheelchair friend. He was like, Richie, no! And he's like, boom! He's like, Eben Hayes, no! I was like, okay. Oh, and when they're running out, more wonderful ADR. Hey, Richie, what, you have to shoot him? He didn't rat us out, man. Like, no one's mouth's moving as they're all running away, and it's so clear there's no way anybody could have heard that.
Ready for some more trivia?
Hell yeah.
It's going to get crazier from here. So this one says, Steven Seagal was difficult to work with during filming. At one point, he was driven to tears when a light went out in his trailer.
What?
So a light goes out, and he's crying.
He's like, hey.
It gets better. He attempted to blame the mishap on a teamster and have him fired, but was unsuccessful. There's no way that's real.
How do you know?
That's crazy.
It's
So crazy.
It's not debunked.
So I know when a light goes out at your house, you start crying automatically, right?
I try to get you off the podcast every week because of every time a light goes out in my house, I'm like,
it's Matt's fault!
fuck! Like, this son of a bitch has had it out for me since episode 1. Fucking, what was our first episode? Wasn't it Wicker Man?
Sounds right.
Or The Hallow? You be the judge. Well, you can just look. But so he's looking in Bobby Lupe's desk, or Lupo, what the fuck? The man that Richie killed in the beginning of the film that started this whole thing off. And there's cocaine in a bag that's like been obviously used. So he's like, okay, well. And then there's 2 stacks of money. And I'm thinking, you know, when someone's killed, why didn't they like go through his desk right away to like give his belongings to his wife?
Good question.
It's literally, there's evidence locked up in his... And like, also, why did he just randomly start going through his friend's shit? Like, there was no reason for him to think that his friend was crooked, and so he just does it, and then he's like, oh. So also, right in this same scene, we've got another what the fuck moment. So my note says, okay, what? He's got 2 pictures in his desk of him and this other woman having sex. But they're looking right at the camera and smiling like they're taking headshots, like looking at the camera. But they're like having sex, like, and they're like, you know,
it's a silly looking picture.
Yeah, and I'm like, and it's not just one. There's 2 of them. Like one, they're like closer up, and they're both like smiling, and then the next one, it's like he's doing her doggy style, and they're both looking at the camera, like, and I'm like, huh? Like, is this a fucking joke? Like, what is this? And it's never really, like, explained. It was just kind of like,
just funny.
He found it, and he's like, what do you think of these? Fuck this evidence. And it's like, is this Photoshop?
I think it looks stupid.
It's like Photoshop. Like, what is this? And then he just pockets all the evidence, of course. Except for he doesn't pocket the cocaine. He just leaves it there.
So that's the one part of the movie where it kind of drags for me until the final couple.
You think?
Final couple encounters.
And then we got some more bullshit. Seagal in his car picking up his dog, saying the most apropos thing I can ever think of. I almost forgot you to the dog. And I'm like,
oh, nice.
Is this literal? Because fucking I think everyone else in the film did too. The dog's been chilling like silently in his car for 50 years. Like, I think that was almost like an outtake. Like, he didn't actually, like, that wasn't written. He's like, oh, we almost forgot about this dog in here. It's like,
yep.
More ADR when they're walking from the car to the apartment with him and his wife. god. So here we go. Seagal starts telling this story about an old world guy that's sharpening blades. So like scissors, knives, and all that stuff. And he says, this guy, he had all these people. They would come out, a nickel here, dime here, and they would sharpen, this, he would sharpen everybody's stuff. And then as time went on, people started buying disposable knives and scissors. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm assuming he's talking about plasticware, but they don't make disposable fucking scissors.
What, you don't have a bunch of sets of disposable scissors?
I mean, you could argue that like any scissors or knives are disposable.
Yeah.
But they don't really make scissors that you use once and they're just like, next. I was like...
It's outrageous.
What?
I actually didn't notice that, but I'm really glad you pointed it out, because that's one of the dumbest lines I've ever heard.
And then he says, I believe he died from a broken heart. And I was like... Is this like Star Wars here? What's going on? But then you find out, she goes, that was your dad, wasn't it? And it says, we tell everybody that dad died from cancer. But when you're not, needed anymore, they don't love you anymore, you just die inside. And, Pop died from a broken heart. And I'm like...
This is like one of those monologues that we would have done in like our high school home movies.
So then I started thinking, I said, so Steven Seagal's dad in this film was a sharpener, and he died because he felt he wasn't wanted or needed. When he could have, like, easily used his sharpening skills, like, gone to, like, a fucking butcher shop and maybe learned how to use knives.
No,
like, there's
felt sorry for him.
It's like he fucking... Oh, my God.
You're like, what a loser!
This whole fucking thing was just so... Like you said, it was like...
Why?
Why was this needed? It was, I mean...
For Seagal to show his acting chops.
It was needed for how many years later when we did this podcast so I could shit on it. But that's the only reason it was put in the movie. So Steven Seagal, if you're watching this, thank you for wasting your time, but not mine. Steven Seagal's wife in this kind of looks like a female version of James Franco.
Okay.
Steven Seagal, when they're talking about getting back together, and all that, he says, I could do that. That I could do. Shut the fuck up. Another ADR. Don't let me ever see you fucking again, Vinny. I'm like, who's talking? No one's mouth is moving. Like, what? And then, Richie beat the shit out of a lady and tied her up because, it's like, I guess she was cheating on him or something, whatever. He's a crazy bastard. He killed her. Next. Did you have breakfast? Okay, so this is another line I didn't fucking understand, and maybe you can make sense of this.
I'll try my best.
By the previous ones, I'm pretty sure we're fucked. Did you have breakfast this morning? Yeah. Good, because it ain't pretty.
Did you have breakfast this morning? Yeah. Good.
Like, if you didn't have breakfast, it would be better, because if you were going to throw up, you wouldn't have anything in your stomach.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I didn't. I was like, I feel like that was, like, there are many lines in this that I think they were...
Maybe if you have a full stomach, it'd be harder to get queasy? I don't know.
It would be delivered, like, I think it's like one of those things where it's like, they're not here to kill. They're here to live. Like, a line, if it's, you deliver it, but it's like, it doesn't mean shit. It's so stupid. It's like, I think there's a ton of lines in here like that where, like, Steven Seagal says something, but when you really think about it, you're like, what the fuck does that even mean? But yeah, that I was like, all these mob guys keep getting, being like, that's it, I'm going after Richie. That's it, he's dead. And I'm like, the first time they actually find him, he just kills all of them. Like, the mob and the police in this are utterly useless. Yep. Like, this is a one-man show. This is like...
He's out for justice.
Seagal is the only one that can find this man. So now he's a fucking expert on forensics. Because, like, of course, he knows when someone died. He's like, oh, it looks to me like been dead 24 hours.
To me, like,
and that's when I was like,
say, time of death 24 hours ago, before
like,
Bob.
He's not only the coolest and toughest, he's the smartest.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier, where, like, he'll randomly be like, he loves animals. He's, like, an expert on this random thing. Like, this scene was just so Seagal could be like,
Dude, you should watch On Deadly Ground with him and Michael Caine, because it's all this, but plus, like, he cares about the environment. So he goes off on all these monologues about, like, caring for the environment and stuff. It's outrageous.
There's a part where someone says, "I'm too old for this shit," or "I'm getting too old for this shit," and I was like, "You will to be Riggs."
Is this? I thought it was hilarious because there's a scene where like some henchmen come to ambush him at home. He's such a badass. Like they don't even get he ambushes them from their own ambush. Like half the dudes don't even make it in the house.
He kills them, and like one smart thing he does though is he tells his wife and his child to like get in the tub.
Yeah,
which I was like, okay, but I think there's one point where him and another guy go like crash through the bathroom. So, like, it's one of the handful of times where him and another guy actually make physical contact.
Yeah.
And, but it's to his advantage every single time. He crashes through and he just is like, boom, like, insta-kills the guy. And it's like, no fight, just the guy has no retort. He's dead.
Yep. So I wrote down a line for once. Tell me if you can understand this. So at one point, like, one of Richie's henchmen is talking to him, and he says, "You're not going to let Gino take you."
Yeah.
And Richie's like, "Take me? Like, take me where? What are you talking about?" But like, okay. Why would he, at this point, ask if Richie's going to let Seagal take him? And why does he say take him, not kill him?
Yeah.
Like,
you're not going to let Richie, like, take you in to arrest you, like...
Why would he be asking that? Like, it's clear that he's not going to do that.
The guy's already killed a bunch of people. Yeah. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And he's also dispatched other henchmen to like, be his cannon fodder, basically.
Right. I was like, dude, this guy's literally the Joker. I don't know what the fuck you're... I'm surprised that guy didn't get killed because of what he asked there. Seagal trying to cry and failing miserably while he's holding Bobby's wife. More ADRs. She says, "I miss my Bobby." Tell the informant kid to leave the neighborhood pasta fazool. I'm out of here. He like literally like tells the fucking neighborhood kid to like fucking leave the neighborhood.
Because he's like, gonna kill everyone.
And he's like, the kid's thing says, "I'm out of here." And I was like, okay.
I love the scene because Richie basically he knows at this point it's over and he's gonna like smoke as much crack
like a madman right now. The music they're playing when he like infiltrates is pretty fucking legit. I don't know what it was. It wasn't like I think it just kind of was some background shit.
So this is the highlight of the movie coming up. This is like the thing from this movie. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is... So, like, I guess I'll go ahead and just talk about one of my favorite parts of this, where he blows the bottom part of a guy's leg off with a shotgun.
Which is awesome, but it gets better.
The ADR. Oh, my leg. He blew my fucking leg. Oh, you took my fucking leg. I'm like,
you took my leg.
I'm like, shut the fuck up.
He keeps going on and on.
Yeah,
like, my leg.
He's like the grape lady from that old YouTube thing where he's
you took my leg.
Yeah, he's like, oh, my leg. You took my fucking leg. Guys, he blew the bottom part of my leg off. It's like, okay, we get it. It's like he's fighting other people in the other room and you still hear it. It's like,
I love it so much.
It's like,
so stupid.
Yeah.
But I wonder if I'd react the same way if someone blew the bottom of my leg off.
I mean, I'd probably be flipping the fuck out, but I guess it's one of those things where I would never be in that position to fucking get my leg.
Never know.
I mean, I guess if that'll be our 2000s episode, you'll just blow my fucking leg off. You're like, this is a buddy blast.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in an action movie.
Yeah,
it
was like so mainly dude. It was all ADR.
Yeah.
It was like
the ADR.
It reminded me of, wasn't there something like that in like The Patriot where a dude's leg gets blown off with a cannonball?
Yeah, I think so.
It reminded me of that, but like obviously like after that happened, the guy just disappeared from like the movie. Like fucking this, it's like this guy took the movie. Like he literally took over the movie.
Also, so Seagal's just killing all the henchmen, and one of them he kicks him and he dies.
Yeah, he kicks the
dude to death.
He kicks the tattoo guy, into the wall, and he just hits the wall and is like, and it's
he
like
kicked him so hard, like he
maybe
broke his
he
skull.
hit his head because he did hit him twice with that fucking pool ball.
That's true.
So maybe like
the skull was barely held.
But yet there was. He's like, don't. But it was one of those things where it was like, are you fucking serious right now? This guy just got munched from the wall.
So then there's the final confrontation between Seagal and Richie. So what do you think about this overkill?
This was not even like this guy is.
You almost feel bad for him because he has no chance. But I do like the fact that he's like, I love pain.
Yeah.
And he basically just,
Yeah, Richie's like, this is like the most anticlimactic thing I think I've ever seen in an action film.
It's every Seagal movie, dude. Yeah. It happens in every single one.
But like, this guy gets no justice. Like, he's done so much horrible shit, but literally he just gets his ass beat. It's like, okay. Like,
corkscrew.
Yeah. The skull. It was just kind of like, okay, this is...
I did like how Seagal shot his corpse a bunch of times after he was already dead to like frame one of the mob guys for the murder.
Right. So that like the guy's boss would, because the one dude, like his friend that he grew up with, shows up and he's like, he shot him a bunch and he's just like, that way your boss will be like, you took care of it, that kind of thing. Because they're still friends, even though like the guy's like a mob guy and Steven Seagal's like went into like being a police officer, which we never talked about this little like side story of him and his friend that grew up. Because man, I wish I would have written this stuff down, but it was another one of those Steven Seagal acting his ass off thing. He's like, I didn't have the money, and Mr. Wasini gave me some cash, and so I could go hang out with the other little boys, and I wanted to be a mobster so bad, and all. Then it's like, now I'm a cop. Could you believe that? And I'm like, he's like, funny how life works out, eh? And the other guy's like, okay.
Whatever.
Like, literally the other guy doesn't really talk. He's like,
can I go home now?
It's like, I'm an actual actor. I don't know what the fuck is going on. This guy's doing like the most ridiculous accent of all time. But
more trivia: during the filming of the showdown between Gino and Richie, Steven Seagal broke William Forsythe's front tooth when he shoved his face into a brick wall. Also, did you notice the brick wall bending in one shot where a dude gets thrown against it? It's like clearly fake.
No, that's funny.
I thought you might pick up on that one.
I think I was just so like, I was kind of disappointed because I knew the end fight wasn't really going to be a fight. It was just going to be like this guy that deserved like an actual, knockdown, drag out ass whipping literally was just destroyed, and it was like, okay, well, that happened.
For justice.
Yeah, somewhat. So, and then he says, "That's for Bobby," with zero emotion.
That's for Bobby.
Are you sick? Put them in a trunk in Jersey. ADR. I was like, what? And then freaking Seagal's walking around the pier with his wife wearing a freaking beret again. And
Triple the movie should have ended after the showdown, but no.
Yeah, there was more. Triple zoom in on a bumper sticker from earlier that says like, kill him, like God sort him out. And it's the guy that threw the puppy out the window earlier, and he kicks... He goes up to Seagal and he's like, you think you're a fucking badass and all this stuff, and he just like, he turns him around or some shit happens, and he kicks him in the balls underneath of him. And the guy's like, oh, my balls. I'm like, is this like Paulie from like Rocky? Like, she's busted! It's like, she's not a agent! It's like, Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? He's like flipping the fuck out. Like, this guy actually got kicked in the balls, with knowing Seagal might not have been acting. And then they have ADR of the dog pissing on him.
Yeah, even the pee has like bad ADR.
Because there's no like he's not wet at all. Like, it's just like, and then the dog walks away with them, and he's like, hey, that's a good pissing. And I'm like, okay. So.
Oh, Vic, look over here. Is that a police dog or what?
Then you have the end credits, which the song was written by Steven Seagal, and it's about how badass of a character he is in this movie.
I actually didn't listen to the end credits. That's funny.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me what happened here.
So it's a cool song, but I wrote down the lyrics.
Nice. Okay.
Because Seagal, on top of everything else, is a fine musician.
He was an all-black band, man.
The song is called Don't Stand in My Way.
He's a badass.
Performed by Greg Allman, written by Steven Seagal. Now this bad boy back in Brooklyn, with such a hunger in his eye, he was tall, he was lean, and you just know what he mean. Just like a devil in disguise. This man, he just stood in the corner. Another one of those quiet kind. But you smell one bad news like a long, slow fuse. What? Guarantee to blow your mind.
He smelled one bad news?
This makes no sense. It was after dawn in Sunset Park, in the heat of the New York night, when a shot rang out. I heard somebody shout, don't stand, don't you stand in my way. Ain't nothing to say about it, don't stand. I said, that's okay, I wouldn't doubt it. Don't be a bad guy, be a nice guy. Now he looked to the left, he looked to the right, he looks away because he don't care to fight.
What?
He pushed on to the end. Wait, he pushed on to and the come to push?
What?
Sounds like a rattlesnake from out of the bush. He just like wrote this in like one
Yeah,
second.
what is that? What do you say he come to?
He push on to and then he come to push. It sounds like a rattlesnake from out of the bush. So if you hear that sound, you better get out of town. Don't stand in my way.
With a push part. It's like,
anything else? I do have one final bit of trivia, and this is the all-timer.
No, I mean, besides like final grade and stuff, go ahead and do the, I guess, trivia, and then we'll...
Steven Seagal stated that due to his Aikido training, he was immune to being choked unconscious. It has been alleged that at some point, Gene LaBelle, who was like the stunt coordinator...
I've heard of this from multiple people, yeah.
Heard about the claim and gave Seagal the opportunity to prove it. Mm-hmm. LaBelle is said to have placed his arms around Seagal's neck, and once Seagal said go, proceeded to choke him unconscious, with Seagal losing control of his bowels.
Yeah, I heard he shit his pants.
So it's been disputed. Like,
yeah.
Other people have claimed that that's actually true, mm-hmm. and LaBelle like formed a team of like other stuntmen called the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Who, because Seagal also said he would fight someone to the death.
Yeah,
like,
and they all pretty much were like, any one of us.
Yeah. But
he never took them up on the offer. But yeah, I've heard that from like many people. I think Ronda Rousey was like trained by Gene LaBelle at one point, and she's like, yeah, Seagal's a fucking pussy, you shit his pants and all this stuff. And I was like,
yeah, she's like, if I ever saw him again, I'd make him crap his pants again. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh man.
And then so Seagal was asked about the incident, which he denied, and then he called LaBelle a sick, pathological scumbag liar.
A sick, pathological scumbag. Like, whether or not that's true, it's a little weird to go that far off and be like, you're a fucking liar. So I have a couple things here at the end to say. Couple cons. I felt like
I've been ragging on this movie the whole time. Only a couple cons.
Not enough action. Seagal's acting, not really interesting story characters. But some pros are Seagal's acting, horrible accent he's doing. That's a pro. ADR. Action when it happened was definitely a pro. Mm-hmm. Villain insane acted, reminding me of Joker, Simon Phoenix, and Demolition Man. Yeah. Not as...
one of the more depraved villains out there.
Depraved. I'd give this a 6.95, but if I ranked it on ADR, it'd be 100 out of 100.
Nice. You are an ADR aficionado.
It was fucking so good, dude. It definitely made the movie like 100 times more watchable. Yeah.
I'm going 9.95 on this. Like, this is my jam. I love these kind of movies. I think it's highly entertaining and awesome.
There you have it.
Yep. I'm like Citizen Kane, only 8.95. But out for justice.
I'm trying not to say anything. Okay, so let's go to the nominations here. The nominations are... Okay, so... let me see. Let me look real quick at the numbers we've got. So, okay, so 1 through 16 is what we're looking at for buddy picks. So... What are we thinking?
Let's go with Fiverr.
5. Let me see here. Actually, pick another one because I fucked up.
What was it? 1 through
6. Weird. I'm gonna do weird watches this week, so I'm gonna pick Kung Fu, which came out last year. It's on HBO Max. I was just looking through shit and I was like, this looks interesting. So hopefully it's good. Thanks for watching, everybody. Watch this episode and all our past episodes on YouTube, SteakBone164, and get in contact with us on Twitter and Instagram as well. So I guess that's all I really have to say this week. Matt 9.95, me 6.95 for Out for Justice, and yeah. Do you have anything else to really say?
It was fun to talk about.
Yeah, it was indeed a film.
And on that note, all I have to say is bye.